Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs POSTGAME Show podcast. Brewers beat the Cubs 6-4 in the series finale as the Cubs lose 3 out of 4 up in Milwaukee. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Greg Braggs running the ones and twos, spinning the dials for us as the producer today. Ryan Herrera is going to hopefully join us at the end of the podcast after he does his interviews up in Milwaukee with Craig Counsell and the players, so we'll look forward to that coming up probably in the back half of the podcast here. Listen, tough road trip, and it ends in a really bad way. 3 out of 4 for the Brewers, and Cubs now 5.5 back, I believe, in the division. 1 game below 500, right? A lot of things went wrong in this game, and a few things went right. But let's start with the wrong. They finally battle back. They get the game to 3-3. And Luke Little starts the inning in the 8th with the dreaded leadoff walk. And you say, well, he did his job, and eventually he got the double play, and Nico and Dansby, the defense that you needed, he gets the ground ball, they turn the big double play, but it's still only 2 outs. And that dreaded leadoff walk is sitting over there at third base. And Gary Sanchez makes him pay for what probably should have been a fastball, but was another off-speed pitch. It wasn't even a strike. I don't know what to say. The team is in a real funk right now. What if it can go wrong? It will go wrong, and some of that's their own fault, and some of it's just I hate baseball, as you like to say.
I once again hate baseball. Yeah, I mean, even we can point to that inning just because that ended up being the game-winning runs for the Brewers, but even before that, what was it, the 7th inning after
are you going to say the 47-mile-an-hour exit velo that dribbled in the run before that?
And I'm not even pointing that out. Like, that's just baseball. That's bad luck.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But what led to it is Perkins singles, and then he steals second base. We've talked about how this team can't hold runners, can't throw out runners. The Cubs are in bottom 5 of throwing out runners, and then they called it a wild pitch by Mark Leiter Jr., but I think we all can sit here and say that Amaya's got to be ready for this, especially because he knows that Mark Leiter Jr. is going to throw the splitter in the dirt.
100%. Got to be ready for it.
To me, that's I guess you could say it's on both of them. And then Terang hits the 47-mile-an-hour swinging bunt, which was annoying. Like, and it was right after the Cubs tied the game on the Suzuki homer. And so it's like, you know how I always say it, how I always tweet it, like the all-important shutdown inning. The Cubs, when it mattered most today, they did not get them when they needed them. Suzuki hits that home run, the momentum, and like you could feel the momentum, feel like it's shifting. You go into that inning and you can't get it done. Then after Morel finally breaks out, hits that ball like right on the outside edge of the zone, at the bottom of the zone, hits it out of the ballpark. He's freaking just celebrating like a child, running the bases. You feel like
reminded you of the Cubs Sox walk-off.
Sure, if you want to go that, I'm just saying like he reminded you that he can be a really good player. And then the 8th inning happens, and you already described it. And it's like they couldn't get the all-important shutdown inning when you needed it, man. Like, sure, they led 1-0 early, but even then, like, they allowed the 3 runs in the 2nd inning, so they led 1-0 for one whole inning. All right, and I thought Tyone was fine today. 6 innings, 3 runs, that's fine. There were other innings earlier in the game where the Cubs had guys on and they didn't do anything. 2 runners on, Nico Horner double play to end the inning. There's another inning. Cody Bellinger hits a double down the third base line. They do Morel and Bush do nothing to drive him in. There was less than 2 outs too. So like they were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. Right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
today I put I don't really know who to blame on this one. Like, this is just a full-on team effort of losing because you had chances to score more runs.
The whole series.
The bullpen gave up the game. Yep. It's hard for me to be super mad at Tyson Miller because he's been great since he got here. This is probably his worst appearance since he got here. But Amaya is probably my biggest frustration just because the catching situation has been one of the biggest problems all season. Like I'm at a point now, Luke, where we're coming in to do post game, and I'm saying, Luke, you're gonna have to do all the talking because I don't know what to say anymore.
Here's what I'll say. I think maybe shame on us for not highlighting that catcher was a big of a roll of the dice as it has turned out to be, right?
Sure.
I think as the CHGO podcast and a lot of fans, we looked at Yan Gomes last year, and then the somewhat emergence of Amaya, his first time up, and we thought, I'm good with that. I'm good with rolling with that for another year, right?
Yeah.
And the Cubs did too. But now, after a couple months, you look at it and you go, wait a minute. We knew third base was a bit of a gamble on this team. And we knew first base was a bit of a gamble on this team. And we knew maybe the bullpen was a bit of a gamble on this team. And we knew maybe the power of the lineup was going to be a bit of a gamble. Some of those things needed to go right. But I didn't put necessarily catcher into that list. Mm. And probably shame on me. Because the one catcher is aging. And when it falls off the cliff, it falls off the cliff. Well, it's fallen off the cliff. And the guy that was supposed to be developing has really struggled. I mean, both catchers are getting run on at a rapid rate this season. Both catchers have struggled at blocking, and both catchers have struggled to hit the ball. Mm-hmm. It's a problem. And I don't know how and when they're going to fix it. They got to fix it.
Do you feel like the offense wouldn't be as big of a deal if they were able to hold runners and throw runners out at a better rate?
Yes, and I think the Cubs need to do, like we've talked about, the Cubs have kind of built this team as listen, we're going to be a fundamentally sound team. We have Craig Counsell as our manager. We're going to play defense at such an elite level. We have Gold Glove, Gold Glove, Gold Glove, Gold Glove. We have pitching that we thought was going to be pretty good, and it's turned out to be some of the starting pitching's turned out to be even better. But they haven't done the base running well. So for the majority of the season, they haven't made the routine plays in the field sometimes. They haven't played fundamentally sound baseball. Kevin Wells, our teammate, said it early in the podcast in the live YouTube chat, which is the best way to enjoy the CHGO experience. Get in on the live YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. He said, listen, you have to do the little things better and have a better focus and emphasis on details when you're playing the Milwaukee Brewers, the first place team on the road. You have to. And there are multiple times in this series you can look back and say, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And we know it. I guarantee you the players know it, and I know that the manager knows it. So I don't know when it's gonna turn around. I hope it's soon. But a homestand is coming at the right time. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, another thing with Amaya, it didn't end up mattering because he got to third base anyway, or because Little walked the next batter he faced as well. In that eighth inning, he, as you pointed out, the dreaded leadoff walk. But then there was Amaya had a pass ball that allowed Yelich to get to second base.
Yes.
Which in some ways you can say changes the complexion of the plate appearance for Willy Adames.
It completely changes it.
Right? So, and Willy Adames he was a massive thorn in the Cubs this series. In some ways, you even said it when we were on the couch, like walking Adames in that situation is probably better than throwing him something to hit.
Best case scenario.
But
until
perhaps it's an easier situation for Little if Amaya catches the damn ball, man. But he didn't, and so it allows Yelich to get to second base. Like we said, man, we can be, you can say shame on us for this and that about the catching stuff, but what you said about doing the little things, being fundamentally sound and stuff, that's for the entire team this year, man. That's been a problem with this team all season. I pointed out Seiya getting thrown out at third base yesterday in that inning where you felt like maybe the Cubs could make a comeback. And ended up they scored 2 runs that inning, but they, it felt like you could have had more based on how that inning was going. Today, I just feel like it's a culmination of all of it, whether it's, the bullpen problems that we've talked about over the course of the last 2 months, whether it's not being able to hit with runners in scoring position, whether it's, Amaya or whoever the hell is catching the ball, not being able to just catch the ball or throwing runners out. It's just like, it's all like today's game in some ways just kind of emphasizes all of it. And so I don't know, man. The only thing I really can take from today again is that I did feel like the offense showed out a little bit. We talked about how there's the power hasn't been there. You hit 2 homers today, 3 homers today. But
finally.
And you got another solid performance out of Tyone. You didn't lead late in the game. And you should have led. You should have led at the end of this game in terms of going into the 9th inning. You should have, if you just played better fundamental baseball, and you just didn't. And I don't know, man. I know Luke Little. I don't hate that they put Luke Little out there in the 8th inning. He's pitched better in his second in this stint being back with the Cubs, but we know that he can be wild. We know that he can struggle with command sometimes. He got the big double play. It was a routine ground ball. Dansby and Nico looked a lot like last year in that moment. But, Tyson Miller, I don't know. The ball wasn't even a strike. Should I just give Gary Sanchez the credit? I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's a proven power hitter.
I'm just,
you can't argue that. I've heard a lot of people talking about the Delmetrics that are out there this year, just talking about how the ball is not, you're not getting a lot of extra base hits, and a lot of teams are just scoring via home run. And that is true of the Cubs. Unfortunately, they don't hit enough home runs.
They had 3 today.
But they had 3 today. And what happened? That's the frustrating part of this. They got the 3 home runs. They got a pitching performance that wasn't great, but you'll take 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts from Tyone.
That's a quality start.
Right? You'll take that. But the little things bit them in the butt. You have to play a complete game. You can't play 8.5. You can't play 8 innings. You can't play 7 innings. Last night, and a couple, it was like the same type of thing. Every time you thought they had a chance to get back in it or do it, something went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's just been the case. I saw somebody in the chat, I'm sorry I didn't catch the name, saying Wilson Contreras turning out to be a big, I can't disagree that Wilson Contreras would be better than their current situation at catcher. Now, you might say that some of these young pitchers, it was Christian A. said it. You might say that some of these pitchers might not be where they are, the starting rotation, if Wilson Contreras was still the catcher. So in that way, Yan Gomes has been helpful this season and obviously last season as well.
Sure.
But I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to fix it. I don't know how Amaya is going to all of a sudden flip the switch and become the catcher of the future.
Yeah. We all know, related to Wilson Contreras, we all know that the offense would be nice. He was having a really solid offensive season.
And we know he's out now.
Right. And we know the reason that he's out too. They were trying to get more lower strikes called and moved him up in his position or whatever, and it led to him breaking his forearm or whatever. That's more so on the Cardinals organization than it is on him. But we all know that the reason that they didn't re-sign him is related to stuff that you can't even measure.
Right.
And as we saw last year, the Cubs, they didn't get the offense that Wilson Contreras provided, but they got the defense. And that's why I asked earlier, would you care as much about the offense from those two if they were if the tandem was throwing more runners out, if they were not allowing these pass balls, wild pitches?
If they were just good defensively, I'd be fine with the whole offensively.
Right. That's where
I would. And so would the Cubs, I believe.
I would. That's been my biggest frustration. I know Amaya and Gomes have struggled at the plate, but to me, the defense has been the biggest problem. And I've talked a ton about the defense being a massive problem with just the overall team in general. But them two, specifically Amaya today, like Amaya struggles in that 7th and 8th inning led to them losing the game, So I don't know. I think that any offense that you get from your catcher, no matter what team it is an added bonus. And I think a lot of teams, that's how they view it. Now, if you can develop a catcher who can do both, that's awesome. Those are the best catchers in the league. That's Adley Rutschman. You know what I mean? That's that guy for Houston that they're really high on.
Baltimore's willing to trade him, aren't they?
Like there's other catchers around the league.
That's huge to have someone that can do that.
We all know that Wilson Contreras, and there's a lot of talk about the inability to frame pitches, the game calling, stuff like that. Again, a lot of stuff that you can't go on Baseball Savant or Fangraphs or whatever and measure. And again, we saw how that played out last year. The Cardinals lost 90 games with Wilson Contreras as their full-time catcher, and at one point they literally removed him from being their catcher for a little bit. And you saw how big of a step the Cubs pitching staff took. So I know it's a new season now, all right? And so that's why, again, I'm bringing up the defense. The defense has been my biggest frustration with Amaya and Gomes. So,
all right, we're going to talk more about it. We'll talk about some of the positives, if there are some. We're hoping to hear from Ryan Herrera, who is in Milwaukee. I always want to say Miller Park because it should be Miller Park forever, but whatever.
Blue Moon
Now
Park.
We call it Blue Moon Ballpark. That's what they get. Hey, guys. May is winding down, but this May, our number one draft pick for all things Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams has got to be Ray CDJR in Fox Lake. And right now, it's the season, which means not only is May the time to find your next vehicle, you can score huge savings too. For a limited time, lease the new 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab for only $419 a month, or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray's CDGR help you land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because with Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing right here on this podcast are the same prices you can expect when you shop in-store or online. That's because Ray's Price Promise means no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. Since they prioritize affordability for their customers, hurry into Ray's CDJR today and shop one of Chicago's largest inventories in the whole area. Then drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you got to check out the team we recommend at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963.
Some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes together. Then the one that was literally born in a ballpark, Blue Moon, was created at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado, one of my favorite parks. It's the natural choice for opening day and all season long. The weather this weekend.
Today, the last 2 days, 70 and sunny. Boom.
I rode my electric bike in here today. The weather is beautiful. It's got more beautiful weather this weekend.
You could strap a 6-pack of Blue Moon to the back of that baby. I've seen it.
You can. I got a nice little. There's a spot for it.
Take it with you.
Yeah. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball to give you the dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the new season. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon.
Yeah, well played.
But you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you. Get with Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company of Golding, Colorado.
Did you know that originally the beer did have another name? I can't remember what it is offhand, but someone that would come into the brewery said, man, this beer, one this good only comes around once in a blue moon. And they're like, ding, 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 ding. Change the name.
Smart of them. It's one of my
Credit to that guy, whoever he was,
we had
or her.
We had some.
You've told that story on here before.
Right. I know, Braggs.
You're like that old guy.
But not everybody listens to every podcast. We're not the CHGO
sure they
Bears.
do. Sure they
not the CHGO
Sure they
Bears.
do. Sure they do.
We can't all be the CHGO Bears, Braggs.
Listen, if you put your mind to it, Luke, anything is possible.
If Caleb Williams could show up and hit some home runs for the Cubs, we'd appreciate it.
Mark Carmen is the Miguel Amaya of CHGO Bears.
Ouch.
Damn, man.
He sucks.
I'm not going to go that low. Hey, guys, let's put on our Cubby-colored glasses and explain to the people why the future is bright for Christopher Morel. Brought to you by Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO at checkout for 35% off your polarized sunglasses. I thought we were going to have a pair in here. I forgot to put them on there. They got the blue tint. We got the blue tint ones, right?
We do.
Yeah, we do. We do. I mean, I also have like 2 pairs.
I wore mine in the car today. One of these bright sunny days where everything's reflecting off the cars, or got the golf outing coming up in July. You want to see the ball, or you want Friday 120 Club. You want to see the white baseball and be able to track it in the outfield with the sun coming in your eyes, the bleachers. Shady Rays are the way to go.
Or just look awesome because they look awesome.
Yeah, drip. Mostly drip is the main reason. So why is the future so bright for Christopher Morel? Well, we saw finally an opposite field home run from him today, number 10 on the season. And I've been saying all along, Cody, while I like the games where he has 3 walks because it shows me that he's progressing as a major league hitter, he's also needed as the power guy. Like, the walks are great. They're a great sign, don't get me wrong. But a better sign is the opposite field home run today. Even better than laying off 3 times. I could do with 1 walk. It kind of goes back to when at the end of Schwarber here with the Cubs, he was walking all the time, but he wasn't producing the offense that you need. And you're like, well, but that's what they need him to do. At that point, he wasn't. And that's what I need to see from Morel. I like to see the patience, but I don't necessarily need a game with 3 walks. I'd like to see a game with 1 walk, maybe 2 walks, and a dong. That's what you want to see. You want to see the dinger in the game, and he gave it to you opposite field, which is a great sign.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it was a really good pitch that I think it was Brian Hudson who was out there for them at the time, who's been one of Milwaukee's better relievers, and he took that pitch the other way, didn't try to pull it. He hit it hard, and I mean, I don't really have a ton to say more about it because the thing that me and Ryan especially have been talking about is that, you know, the BABIP gods owe him. Like they even put it up on the broadcast, like where he ranks like in BABIP right now, like 203 or something like that. League average around 300. Like he's due for some balls to drop. Thankfully, this one, you hit it over the fence and no one's going to catch it, right? So, yeah, I mean, 10 homers on the year. Hopefully this is the start of a really good stretch. Overall, I know he wasn't very good yesterday, but the day before, 3 walks, and I know he had been struggling. So hopefully this series, if there's any silver linings to pull from it as far as individual players, you know, I thought he had a decent series. So, you know, he had a hit earlier in the game. I think he had 2 hits today. Was it 2 hits?
I think he did, but here's the deal. Like
2 hits today.
The baseball gods owe him. The guy's body's just been beaten up. How many foul balls has he hit off his legs in the last 2 weeks? It's been a brutal
month,
2 weeks to a month for Christopher Morel in general, and it had been a long time since he'd hit a home run. Again, a lot of their star players had gone 2, 3, even 4 weeks without a home run. And so that goes right to why they haven't been winning games. And so to see Morel break out of it, and I've been saying, look for a Soriano type surge from him offensively because the walks were showing it. He was starting to take the ball to the opposite field. Another good sign that you saw today. Would it shock you if Christopher Morel eased his way into June and all of a sudden now he's got 10 home runs? Would you be surprised if in a month all of a sudden he's sitting there with 16?
No, I think
17. I wouldn't at all.
No, I think he's good. He's due for a really good stretch. So like I'm not letting up on that. Like I said the other day, I guarantee that we were all going to be really excited about him before the season is over.
But they desperately need it.
Yeah.
They desperately need it because they chose not to sign a free agent to play third base.
Sure.
Like you could have had Morel as your DH and just gotten his bat into it that way. Yeah. But there were free agents available that they decided no, and they've so far off to a decent season. But like,
Matt Chapman's probably the only one.
Well, he's only got like 3 home runs, but he could have played
better
defensively early in the season. Better defense.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have the offense or would you rather have the defense?
I'd like to have both.
But like I'm in this particular scenario though. Like that's what
I'd rather have the offense. And I know there's been talk. Our boss Jake was in today talking about. Yeah, he doesn't have the range.
Based off what they were talking about on
the radio. I think it was
ESPN 1000.
Carmen and Cap maybe today.
No, it was like
Anyways, whoever was mixed up, it was ESPN 1000.
Yeah.
My thing is this: I don't need him to have great range on this team. That's not why what we're hoping to get out of him this season. Great range at third base is like, if you have a list of things for Christopher Morel to accomplish this season, great range at third is probably near the very, very bottom, if not dead last. What you want to see is lay off the sliders that are out of the zone. Bring the power, bring the energy, and then somewhere in that list is play dependable third base. I don't need star plays. I don't need Javi Baez flash plays at shortstop. What I need is, if the ball's hit to you, scoop it up and throw it to first. Make the routine plays. Make the routine plays routine for you so we're not all holding our breath. So far, I've seen progress in that. And then, you know what? If you can do all 3 of those things that I was talking about earlier, then we can start working on the guy's range. And frankly, if he never has the range, but he just brings the power and makes the routine plays at third, you'd be good with that too.
Sure.
Especially if he's hitting 35 home runs, which is what you're hoping he will develop into. And I know that the Cubs, I'm not the only one that sees the signs of, you see him too, Cody, like the signs of a guy that's progressing as a major league hitter. Even though the stats and the numbers and the bad month, the ice cold month, tell you, oh man, this guy's struggling. Every player struggles, especially when they're working on some things. But you can see the progress in the other things that he's doing at the plate that let you believe that when he gets hot, it's really going to click this time. And it should be even better than it ever has been before.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about you need the power and all this and that. And I know how you feel about this team right now and the lack of power. But when it comes to Christopher Morel himself, he's tied for 7th in the National League in home runs.
And he's been ice cold for a month.
Exactly. So that's why I still feel really good about him providing that power. Obviously, you need more consistency, and he can't hit a $198 the entire season. You need some of these balls to drop, man. But yeah, I mean, I think these last couple games hopefully are a sign that some real run producing is going to start happening. So he hit a home run in a big moment, man. So hopefully it's a huge confidence booster for him. So only he's tied with like 5 guys right now with 10 homers in the league. Right, only Schwarber, Teoscar Hernandez, Pete Alonso, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, and Ozuna have more home runs in the National League than Christopher Morel.
DJ Rick says Morel at third base isn't the problem. It's his hot and coldness. Yeah, but I mean, there have been lots of players that have been that way. And again, what I'm saying is, when he starts cutting down and swinging at those sliders that are out of the zone, the hot and cold streaks should start to level out a little bit. But when you have a guy with that kind of raw power who's swinging as hard as the top 5 players in baseball, like he's one of the top 5 guys for as hard as he swings, that you live with that. You live with it for a guy who's got unmistakable natural raw power in his swing. Mm-hmm. Soriano was the same guy. Don't tell me Alfonso Soriano wasn't a great hitter. The guy ripped his quad off the bone, and he wasn't the player you hoped when you got the signing. But is he one of the best? At times frustrating, yes, but he could also carry the team for a month.
Right.
By the way, Sammy Sosa had streaky moments too. Mm-hmm. Let's not for all the people that want Sammy to come back, let's not act like Sammy didn't have cold streaks.
Rizzo.
Yes.
Rizzo was very
Guys
hot
that
and
hit
cold.
home runs are often that way. That's why I think it's really strange that Ian Happ seems to be one of those cold, hot guys because he doesn't really have that type of power. I can see why it happens to Christopher Morel, but if he lays off the slider, those peaks and valleys should shrink a little bit.
Right. Morel is 12th in the National League in walks. He's got 28 walks this year. All right. Yeah. You look at the batting average and like, oh yeah, hot and cold streaks. And I will admit, over the last, honestly, since the Braves series through the Cardinals series for sure. Like last week was bad, but I just feel like it. When I think about the worst stretches I've watched from Morel through in his career, I think about second half of 2022. That wasn't just 1 or 2 weeks. That was 2 months. All right, that was.
And it
rookie
wasn't
season.
bad luck. It wasn't bad luck.
And then even last year, which he was a significantly better player last year. You know, his entire month of August was terrible. It was so bad that you didn't want to put him in the lineup because it was automatic 3 strikeout nights. All right. I just feel like he's giving you productive at bats, even on at bats that he's not getting hits. Yeah, sure. There was one at bat today where he hit like a lazy pop up to short. All right. I'll say that there are times where it's like, man, like you got to do more than that, man. But I could say that about every player. All right. So I just think that you're getting more production overall from him this year than you ever have. And it's crazy to say right now when you look at the slash line, but I just like based off his approach, like we keep talking about, the fact that he continues to hit the ball really hard. He's taking his walks. He's like 12% walk rate. It's the highest of his career. The K rate's down. He doesn't strike out nearly as much as he has throughout his career.
It's similar.
Yeah. And he still has the power.
Keep in mind, he's developing, because of the way baseball is now, he's developing it at the major league level. And he's still really, really young, right? Mm-hmm. This is the type of progress teams are looking for out of guys that are going from single A to double. Like that's the type of stuff you can say, and you can look at a kid's numbers and be like, why did they call him up? I'll tell you why, because they saw exactly what you're seeing in Christopher Morel. And I know the Cubs are excited about it. Frankly, I am too, even though it's been a bad month, and that's why I said, hey, put the shady rays on. Future's bright for Christopher Morel. Also bright because the sun is out. Dare I say, Sunnyside might be a place you'd go, Cody.
I'm going to need a lot of Sunnyside.
The sun will come out tomorrow, Cody. Orphan Annie.
Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. They have everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. They have an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. I know, Luke, you love that online ordering.
Yeah, right.
You just want to show up, pick it up, and get out of there, right? They're everywhere here in Illinois, right? They're Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations on the north side here in Chicago and Wrigleyville.
Right by Wrigley Field, right there.
Right there. And then in River North, and then they're also in the suburbs, but also in Champaign and South Beloit. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. If you're a pro, they've also got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added weekly. They know that you'll love Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. It's easy to order online, and they're there to help. So head to sunnyside.shop and use code HICHGO at checkout for 35% off. Favorite brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Oh, James Colstock, get off my lawn. We're talking about Morel because Shady Rays, and we were trying to find something bright about this game, and it was Morel. But let me tell you something else that'll keep you positive going into this weekend in the series with the Reds. Butcher Box. Get incredible deals on premium cuts from Butcher Box. Deals this good, hard to come by at the grocery store. Let me tell you, you can dig around a lot of grocery stores and not find this stuff. And a lot of peace of mind, too, because you can easily find high-quality meat and seafood that you can trust. It's 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. Don't buy this stuff that's been farm-raised. You want wild-caught seafood. Humanely raised, no antibiotics or added hormones. Delivered right to your doorstep. Free shipping always, not sometimes, always, and a variety of high-quality cuts at amazing value. ButcherBox is offering our listeners an amazing offer where new users get free meat plus $20 off your first box. Join today using our link, butcherbox.com/CHGO. Then use the code CHGO to receive this exclusive offer today before time runs out. You want nice weather this weekend? Throw the chops on. Get yourself a nice filet, low-fat filet, just some good protein. Sear it again, and then slow cook it the rest of the way.
And have some sunny side with it.
Have some sunny side, have some blue moon, wash it down.
Yeah.
You'll feel good. Hey, a lot of people, we talked about this last night. Well, we talked about, I said PCA, and I had heard the interview with Carter Hawkins on The Score, and I said, it sure sounds to me like he's coming soon. And he said, they said, is he coming back soon? And the response was, well, he's certainly making a case for it down in Iowa.
Yep.
And he's one of those guys that you can say, some guys don't make the team. He mentioned something about like, some guys don't make the team out of spring training, and they're like, well, I gave it a good shot. That's disappointing. And other guys look in the eye, and you can see the daggers, like coming at you like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Mm-hmm. That's how PCA went down. And right away, he was producing down there, showing the Cubs, you need to bring me back as soon as possible. And sure enough,
that sequence back. Where he had two thrown like
two
right,
in his head,
right
and then he blasted a homer.
It out
yeah.
after his manager got thrown out. That was great.
And so he brings that back. And by the way, Hawkins said like he's gonna be playing 9 out of 10 days. He's not coming back. We need this guy to develop. He's our number one prospect, so he's gonna be playing. So it'll be interesting to see how Craig Counsell now starts to move the chess pieces around the board. Because outfield is one place where you have guys, first of all, you have two guys that you can't trade. And then you have a center fielder that you can move to first base, or you have guys that you can move to DH. But you seem to have an overload of quality, potentially quality outfielders. So we'll be interested to see how not only he gets PCA in the lineup 9 out of 10 days, but other outfield prospects that might still be coming up at some point this season. Are you happy to see PCA back on the team?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I've voiced my frustrations with the fact that they sent him down to begin with.
Are you happy with the guy that was sent down for him, Vasquez?
No. I still don't understand why Nick Madrigal is on this roster. You called up Vasquez, and I don't care what Ryan tells me, like, to try and explain it to me. It's just... It goes back to my entire rant last night about roster management and roster construction. I don't know what this team sees in Nick Madrigal anymore. I've given Nick Madrigal my hope, my chance. We've seen over 600 plate appearances from Nick Madrigal, and all this guy does is hit ground balls to second base. That's legitimately all he normally does. Right, at least 57% of the time. Okay, so you called up Vasquez to give him one plate appearance, and you let him run from second base to home in extra innings the other day. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Congratulations, all right? I don't understand why Nick Madrigal is still here. And he comes into the game after Morel hits the homer today. It didn't end up mattering anyway, but like he would have had to eventually bat fourth behind Bellinger, all right, if the Cubs would have made that comeback, right? Like, whatever. I would have kept Vasquez on the roster and sent Madrigal to Iowa because he clearly needs some sort of jump start. Kind of like last year. Like they optioned him to Iowa last year and he got going and then he came back and had a nice 2-3 week stretch with the bat. I'm not saying that I want them to do that. I'm just saying that like he hasn't played well enough to deserve to be on this roster. As far as PCA, yeah, like I said, he deserves to be here no matter what. Got pinch hit today by Suzuki, which ended up being a great move by Counsell because he hit the homer. But he had a nice PCA had a nice catch out in center field at the warning track today.
I was hoping he was going to rob another home run.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I mean? Like Sanchez, he kept going back, and I'm like,
Well, that was Tauchman at that point, though.
Well, which was the home run that I saw that it was definitely PCA going back on it, right?
Yeah, there was a ball that he caught the warning track that I'm pointing out. But
okay.
I don't
maybe
think
I'm confused.
I don't think he robbed a home run. It was just like a ball hit hard at the warning track, and he just makes it look easy out there, So, yeah, I don't really know what to set my expectations to. He went back to Iowa, and he started to hit in Iowa, something that he wasn't doing before he came to the Cubs at the end of April. But, hopefully he's got some confidence built, and I just think that
he's not the guy we saw at the end of last season.
Right. I think that his value will be on the bases, his defense, and yeah, you hope that he starts to figure it out at the plate, I can't take away too much from his at-bats today. You went 0 for 2 with a strikeout, so whatever. But I just think the team is better with him on it. At the very end of the day, the team is better with him on it. So,
Tom Green wants to see David Bodie. It is not happening just for contract reasons alone. Like, Bodie is down there for such an emergency that I can't imagine what it would even be at this point, because he would send them into that.
I don't even know why
he would send him into that luxury tax, and he's not the future. And so it's like, I don't know what would have to happen for David Bodie to be called up, but it would be really bad.
I legitimately don't even understand why fans want to see David Bodie. I don't care how many homers he hits in Iowa. I really don't.
Well, they're saying, because if you're talking about, this is why baseball and a lot of sports can be complicated. If you're talking about, you just want your best, it's like when PCA was sent down. Don't you want your best 26? It just doesn't always, financially, because of the way the game's.
I don't necessarily think that's the reason either, though.
No, but I think he's one of the top 26? No, but he might be higher on the list of guys that might help you win one game. If you were trying to win one game, Bodie might give you a better at bat than somebody else might.
He'd give you a better at bat than Madrigal. I'll give him that much.
That's what I'm saying. But Madrigal costs you less than David Bodie does.
I don't think that's the reason. I don't think that's the reason. And I would say I would put anyone's name in front of, he'd give you a better at bat than Madrigal.
I would rather see Vasquez than Bodie anyway.
Same.
And I would have rather seen Slaughter than Bodie anyway.
Sure, yeah.
But that's, he's got a major league contract attached to him when he comes up.
I don't necessarily. Again, I don't think that has anything to do with if it does, that's stupid. If it is,
well, he could give.
We'll never know, but
yeah, I think he gives you as much flexibility as Master Boney.
Yeah, I guess my thing is that I don't think David Bodie's going to change.
No, neither do I. So. Hey, we got a lot of events coming up, by the way, too, that we're waiting for Ryan Herrera to hopefully be able to join us from Milwaukee. But you and Braggs have the Friday 120 Club.
Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, and you meet at Murphy's in the morning. Again, if you haven't been to one of these, what have we had, 4 or 5 of them now?
We've had 4.
4.
2 and 2.
Braggs is in charge of the signs and the artwork. You guys meet up at Murphy's in the morning. But the key is, go ahead, buy your own bleacher seat. Or if you have tickets, just meet everybody at Murphy's in the morning. But the real idea is, hey, let's meet at Murphy's in the morning, take our tickets, all go in and sit together in the bleachers with our Friday 120 Club shirts that you get at ALLCITY.com, which I believe is one of our top 5 designs for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then you go to Almost Home after the game to hopefully fly the W and celebrate afterwards, or have your therapy session.
There's no therapies. Well, it's more just, hang out, have a couple more blue moons, whatever.
Have a couple more. Anyways, now is tomorrow the day that you're bringing your daughter?
They got good eats at Almost Home as well.
The food's good
Food's
there.
solid, so when you've had a few
Good
drinks,
pizza.
you got to sober up, have some food. It's a great spot. Yes, tomorrow is my daughter's 6th birthday.
Oh, wow. Addie, happy
My
birthday.
daughter's name is Addison Grace, so obviously you know how much the Cubs mean to me. Hopefully one day Addie doesn't murder me for doing that to her name, but we thought it was, not just a Cubs connotation, but we just thought we like them for girls' names, obviously, too.
Now, if you have a son, it's going to be Caleb what?
Yeah, exactly. I told my wife when we had Addie, she had two options: Jordan Elizabeth,
Caleb Rome,
Jordan Elizabeth, or Addison Grace, and she chose Addison Grace. So yeah, Addie's gonna be with me. My wife's gonna be with me. My mom's gonna be there.
Oh wow, the fam.
And the whole fam's coming out.
So please, although I'm sure she's heard worse out of your mouth.
Yeah, she's
please,
heard plenty.
let's not just turn into truck drivers here. No
Oh
offense to
no,
truck
she'll
drivers,
be the
of course.
truck driver. Don't you worry.
She will, yeah.
Well, she's already sat in the bleachers before. She's been to Murphy's before. So this
Right.
ain't her
She
first.
she wasn't served at Murphy's,
Correct.
but she was there.
Yeah, they'll let kids in
with
pregame.
supervision.
This ain't her first rodeo, so we're gonna have some fun tomorrow. Sing Addie happy birthday, but we're gonna be having some fun. Get your Friday 120 club. Meet us up for sure.
And then we got the takeover on Tuesday. Crosstown takeover.
It's Tuesday, or do we have the graphic? It's
Tuesday.
That's
isn't
the
it?
White Sox one, Brags.
And no, I don't
either-
have. It's on Tuesday,
I
and
thought
we're
it's
meeting
either-
at Murphy's at 5:00.
Yeah, I
me try
I
to
knew
find
it's either the Tuesday or Wednesday because it's against the Sox. I just couldn't remember which day in particular, but it's on allchgo.com.
It's
meeting
Tuesday
at
or
Murphy's.
Wednesday. Which day is it?
I thought it was June 4th, but yeah, it says June 4th on this graphic that Brags has now.
Pull it up. Is that June
That's
4th?
got to be Wednesday.
It's June 4th. It's a Tuesday.
I said Tuesday.
Is it a Tuesday?
And I said Wednesday.
Yes, it's a Tuesday.
My bad.
It's
I
Tuesday.
promise.
Maybe I just don't know the days of the
Tuesday,
week.
June 4th.
Tuesday.
Do not
June
be
4th.
outnumbered by White Sox fans.
There's tickets still available if you go to
That's right, but
allchgo.com/events.
CHGO Sox guys are trying to sell it on the south side so that they show up and just turn it into a Sox section.
Well, let's kick their asses.
That's what I'm saying. Let's not have that happen.
Yeah. My bad.
Let's keep it
Definitely on
Herb,
Tuesday.
Sean, and Cubs fans.
So 5 p.m. Once again, officially meeting at Murphy's at 5. Game is at what, 6:40?
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're gonna be having some fun. We got and
6:40
there's
or 7.
tickets still available. We got a nice group that's gonna be sitting in the 400 level.
We had fun at Real Time Sports last night.
We did.
A lot of the Herrera showed up. We had Tim show up. Gary was there. Gary was
Ryan's
talking.
entire
Gary had
family.
you cornered talking Bears for a while, and then he was
did.
telling me all about Slaughter's career, and we had a couple conspiracy theories we went back and forth with. And then we have, so even if you can go to those two things, then the big event, to me, this is the biggest event of the summer. We have a lot of stuff until we get to the Bears tailgates, which we know.
Okay.
Bragg. I'm saying it for Braggs.
I would think our event in
stroking
September
his
is
ego a
bigger
little
than the tailgate. Sorry, but whatever.
We're renting a bus, we're buying tickets, and we're going up to Milwaukee and Blue Moon Ballpark, and it's Cubs Brewers. Make sure you go to allchgo.com. Start getting in on those tickets. Getting in on them right now. We're going to take the bus. I'm not sure where we're leaving from yet. Somewhere in the city, probably. Going up, we are definitely going to stop at Circa in Waukegan, right?
And where people who might live in the suburbs,
Right. Like
can
I
hop
live
on
north,
there.
so I'm just going to pick it up there if I go on the bus. And then a little tailgate action in Milwaukee, but then sit together and hopefully have an exact replica of this series, only the results switched.
Right. Yeah. The game that day is at 3:00. So we're planning to be at Wrigley North by noon. So that's a good, 2.5 hours.
That is
of
Wrigley
tailgating.
Man 1 is asking what day for the bus trip. That's June 29th.
June
a
29th.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday, June 29th.
Yep,
and
go
it's
to-
like a 3:00 start, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
leaving
yeah.
in.
Oh, sorry, Cody.
Right, so we're leaving.
The vibes were going in my head so much that I wasn't even listening.
Yeah.
So hit us up. Go to allchgo.com/events and come on. I'll
Your
be
ticket, like with like when you buy the ticket or whatever on allchgo.com, it includes like the game ticket, the transportation, the food. And
It's an
drink
all-inclusive
that way.
deal.
Yeah, it's an all-inclusive
It includes your beverage there.
Yeah.
Not at the
And
ballpark.
Stanley's saying first pitch for Tuesday night is 7:05.
Yeah, because that changes.
All right,
June 1st.
I thought it was probably
Yuck.
7.
which is fine. That's
No, it's
at
not fine.
6
No, it's not fine.
Yeah, it is 6:40.
Those should start at 6:40.
It's fine.
They should start at 6.
You're talking to a man who has 2 small
right.
children at home.
That's right. Start those
I got
games
a
at
kid.
6.
He'll get over it.
Start at 6.
Anyway.
2 is more than 1.
So yeah, come to our events.
Did I hear him? Did I hear
I
Ryan
heard a
Herrera?
little jingle.
He's
You heard
here
a
and he's
little
going to be
jingle.
Why
rational
does it have to
and
be
he's
a
going to
little
tell me
jingle?
that
That's
I
not-
need to calm down. But let him go ahead and do it.
There he is, the mayor of Elk Grove, after his major appearance and signing babies and autographs and everything else that he did at Real Time Sports Bar in Elk Grove. He's up. He drove all the way to Milwaukee, and he's back at work, only to see the Cubs lose 6-4. What was the main theme, Ryan? What was the main theme after this loss?
Disappointment, I guess. Right? Like it was kind of not necessarily funny in a way, but like Craig Counsell post game asked his thoughts on the first trip back to Milwaukee. That did I have any meaning? That kind of stuff. Obviously, like that was the big deal on Monday, but got brought back up again today. And he just, I'm disappointed we lost 3 out of 4. We came here to win games and we didn't. And that's disappointing. Time to move on. Like a very not solemn, but just like we didn't win games here. And I think that's the main thing. Is just disappointing they couldn't come out with more wins, 2-3 wins in this series. They fought Seiya with the 2-run home run to tie a game, Morel with the home run to tie a game. And then those are 2 guys obviously that have had their struggles. Morel this month, Seiya he came off the IL, trying to get back on track. And that's really been 2 big contributors to as far as the funk that the team was in offensively for a while. I actually think the last few days the offense has woken up and is looking better. It's not perfect. It still feels like getting some misfortune on balls. Like Michael Busch, the one right after Morel, hit one, had an even higher expected batting average, and like that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to put too much emphasis on it because it's like at the end of the day the results matter. Getting the results matter. Getting the hits matter. Getting the wins matter. But I do think that you can look at it as like overall signs that some of these guys are starting to look a little bit better, and are just in a better place than where they were even a few days ago, a week ago, right? So I do think Counsell talked about what JMO was able to do after giving up those 3 runs in the was it the second inning? Yeah. After giving up those 3 runs and able to kind of bounce back, keep him off the board, he gave up 2 more hits while he was out there, both in separate innings, so that he wasn't giving up traffic, any of that kind of stuff. So Counsell was impressed with how JMO pitched after they got to him with a couple of, I think it was 2 soft contacts and then 1 really nice hit up the middle or whatever. So it talked about that, and then just talked about again the swings that Seiya and Morel were able to put on a ball, and Bellinger obviously in the first inning. 3 guys that they know they need to have going for this offense to click and to hum and to get back to a position where they're actually helping them win games. I think that's, there you go.
I don't understand why they're not playing better fundamental baseball. That's why I don't know how you can identify that as a manager and force a player to do it. I don't know why it happens in baseball. But, there were some pitches that needed to be blocked in this game. There's been like 2 or 3 things in every loss in this series where you can say, well, they didn't do the small things and maybe they didn't deserve to win the game, even though we saw the home runs today, or even though we had a great pitching performance, or even though we had this. They're still not doing some of the things that they actually did last year. The good base running, the good defense. Where is that? And is Counsell preaching that to his team? Is he beating home that message?
I think that's always part of it for it. And one thing about Counsell, not that he doesn't hold players accountable, not that that's ever an issue from what I gather. But it's not like he's not a guy that's gonna go and throw stuff around the clubhouse or throw stuff around the office and get angry, right? Like he's a measured manager. I think players appreciate that. They're big leaguers. They're grown adults now. Like yelling at them and making them run sprints up and down the field, like stuff like that doesn't work for guys like that. For guys at this level, so it is a different approach that managers at this level have to take. That said, Miguel Amaya was he had 1 pass ball and 1 wild pitch, but I think the wild pitch should have been a ball that he blocked, in my opinion. It's hard. It's hard at this level. I get that, but like in my opinion, it's a ball that it's a wild pitch, but it's still a ball you can't let you get past you as a catcher. Yeah, it's definitely part of it, and what there's never really easy answers for that kind of stuff, right? Like how do you get how do you get a catcher to block a ball? I don't know. That's that's obviously your question is how do you get that? And for Counsell, like that may be that may be something he has to address with a guy like Amaya. Like this is just the example that we're using right now. That may be something he has to address with Amaya or the fielding coordinators or infield, like whoever it is, because there's the stolen base,
right, Ryan? Like they're not necessarily physical mistakes, like not blocking the one that probably should have been blocked. Like you knew that pitch was coming. You got to be ready.
Yeah, well, and then that's right after an easy stolen base, which without having seen the replay myself, is that like how was Leiter holding him on? Like I don't know if you guys could tell from your vantage point, but like was he looking at him? Was he even holding him on? Like how? I think that all plays into it too. It's like how well do the pitchers do that? It is like smaller, more minute things, but we can see how that not doing that stuff well enough can lead to a run, lead to changing the game up a little bit, leading to changing the complexion of a game. And that's, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that they have to be better at a lot of these little things that, while I do think they've suffered from some bad luck this year or this month, and obviously the injuries have played their part, like there are those smaller, minute things that they haven't done as well as they have. I think they did for a lot of last year that you need to see improve. And I don't know the answer to that, but that's for the guys to get out of a funk that they're in. That's something they have to figure out.
How you feeling, Cody? You got a question in you?
Me and Cody tomorrow are gonna walk hand in hand as we walk into Lake Michigan after the game. After the game,
do a polar plunge.
We're gonna go Murphy's, then the bleachers, then almost home, and then after almost home, me and Cody are gonna get in a car and drive into Lake Michigan until the thing drowns to the bottom of the.
Dude, I'm just. I don't even really know what. I have nothing to ask because anything that you were going to come in here and tell me, I'm just.
Yeah, I heard you say you won't listen to me or whatever you said.
I really, and this isn't against you. This is just how I feel. Like no one, I really don't care what Counsell has to say right now. I don't care what the players have to say. You were 18-12 at the end of April. We're at May 30th and we're under 500. Just fucking get it together. If it's not, it's like Bragg said on the couch earlier. If it's not one thing, it's another. Like I will defend Morel because of the bad batted ball luck, and I will defend, Justin Steele. Like I felt like I had to a week ago because there were people after a few bad starts against the Pirates. People were like, "Oh, he's freaking washed. He's done." Then he shoves on Monday. All right. Then I will defend Ian Happ because I know the track record and I know he's better than what he's been, and he's been better the last week and a half now. Like, but at the same time, as much as I will defend all these little things and certain players, we're not winning games, bro. We're not winning games. And the roster is too good. I don't care what anyone says. You look at the roster on paper, the team is better than 27 and 28 or whatever the fuck it is, all right? I'm fucking tired of watching mediocrity.
Whoa.
Sorry,
kids are watching.
Kate, and sorry, Luke's kids.
There goes our PG rating again.
Well, everyone knows this ain't PG whenever I'm on here, all right? I'm just saying, like, this is... I don't know what to say anymore, man. It'd be hard for you to believe this, Ryan, but when we came in here, I said, Luke, you're going to do all the talking. I don't know what to say. I legit don't know what to say about this team anymore. They have to play better, point blank, period.
Yeah, no, that's it. You're getting to the end of May, okay, right? Like it's a month of the team falling down the standings. It was April 26th and they were 17-9. April 26th and they were 17-9. Now they're a game below 500 for the first time since the third game of the year, since March 31st. I mean, while I don't share your frustrations, like as the reporter, media person of this group or crew, like I understand where you're coming from, because it is watching this team even from the press box. Like, this team shouldn't be like playing this bad. They shouldn't be on this stretch that they are. I said it yesterday. Like, I do think this is a good team, and I do think they can turn it around, similar to a team that I don't think was as good last year was able to turn it around. And the Cubs, obviously, like I'm referring to the Cubs, how they went from 10 games below 500 right around this time last year to nearly making the playoffs. Like, I do think this team is good and can turn it around, but like at a point, and it's something else that Craig Counsell said today post game, asked about like seeing signs or taking strides offensively, and especially in the last 3 games of the series. And he was kind of like, we can say we took strides, but there's no consolation prize. Like, there's a game the next day, and got to go do it tomorrow. Like, and that's fair. Like, at the end of the day, like, we can, we sit here and, like I said, I point to some of the guys that hit the ball well today, J-Mo doing stuff, but like at the end of the day, they didn't win. They didn't win a baseball game. They got to go and figure out how to win one tomorrow. Like, they got to figure out how to be better and how to figure out how to win a baseball game, because they haven't done it enough.
Rags, we got a super chat there that just came in.
We have 2.
Couple of them?
We have a couple. I'm
Hit us
sorry.
up. What do we got?
I'm
What do we got?
scrambling over here because we have
Hard
some
Knocks.
breaking news. The Chicago Bears will be on Hard Knocks.
Credit to
this
Gary
summer.
Ross.
Gary Ross called
CHGO
his
Sicko
shot
called
in
his
January.
shot. He pointed to Hard
Ross
Knocks
had
and
it
he said
first.
it's happening.
Gary had it
All right.
first.
So,
Okay, anyways, the super chats.
Don't be a hater, Ryan. Don't be a hater.
Smooth.
I said he
JJ
had it
Smooth,
first.
$1.99 super chat.
Would you take Jorge Lopez, laughing emoji, or too soon? I mean, I don't know. I literally didn't know who he was until he said that he's been the worst teammate in the Mets locker room or whatever he said. I guess in some ways, sure, if
Boy, the Mets are a mess.
you deal with more bullpen injuries, but again, like I'm assuming he sent that just because of the bullpen and today, but I don't hate how Counsell went about it. We haven't talked about how Counsell went about it, right? Like, Tyson Miller has been good. He had his
I don't know. I didn't have a problem with
He had
Tyson
his
Miller
first
being
bad
there.
outing today. It's not like you blew a save. You didn't lead late. Like, you just didn't get the shutdown inning you needed. I didn't hate that he went to Tyson Miller after Luke Little, because Tyson Miller's been better against righties. So I don't know. Obviously you're saving Neris for the ninth
Save
inning
opportunity.
in that particular situation, right? Like, Leiter had already pitched, so yeah. I mean, I don't hate the process of that they went there.
Well, and the Tyson, you guys may have already talked about it, but the pitch that Gary Sanchez hit for the home run was nuts. Sweeper off the plate, and he is more pull than not, right? It was center field, but more to the pull side. And I'm like sitting here, and he killed that ball too. Like, it wasn't a cheap homer. He killed that ball.
We did say
So
that.
It was just a good swing. Tyson Miller made a good pitch that got beat, and with the baseball, right? Like, that happens. That happens. You can make a good pitch that a guy chases, should not have been swinging at, and still can take it for a ride anyway. I think that's just kind of one where you tip your cap to a guy like that that does that.
Ricky with a $2 super chat. Agree with you, Cody, and feel your frustration. So
Thank you, Ricky. Yeah. I mean, related to what Ryan said about, like, the Sanchez pitch, like, it's frustrating because the Cubs had one inning today where they hit 3 fly balls to the warning track and were caught. And then the very next inning, Willie Adames hits a broken bat flare, and it lands. Like,
47 miles an hour.
the 47-mile-an-hour
was
swinging
disgusting.
bunt by Terang. Like, that's baseball, I know, but it's stupid. And
That's
in
why
a
it's
long
stupid sport.
162-game season, it makes me want to eat a lot of Taco Bell.
It is a stupid, dumb sport. Like, we know that.
it's a dumb
Anyone that
sport.
It's
watches-
chaos,
It's a dumb
man.
sport.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what to
anyone
say
that
about
watched
him.
or played or anything to do with baseball growing up knows that. This is just a
dumb
very
sport.
dumb sport. When you can hit 3 and you can fail 7 out of 10 times and feel good about it, like feel really good about it, like Yeah,
That's why we like it, because we all fail so many times in life. We're like, yeah, that feels good.
I just hope that some of this luck that, like this batted ball luck that we keep continuously talking about that's going against the Cubs, like they are so due for some good luck. And I will say there were a few balls that, the Bellinger double in this game that the Cubs didn't take advantage of. I think defensive positioning helped them, but it's not like he mashed that baseball and it was a double, right? So it's not that they didn't get any of it themselves either, but a lot of people, when especially me and you, Ryan, when we've talked about exit velocity and like hitting the ball hard and stuff, it's like I don't know what to tell people who are like, I don't care, they're not hits, but it's like, what can you tell a player? You want them to try and hit the ball hard. They can't control where they hit it, like unless they're purposely trying to shoot it the other way or something like that. But like, as far as hitting the ball hard, you can't control where a defensive player is going to be. Like. So those are the time we bring up those things because it's one way to explain, what you're saying about how a lot of the bad luck is happening, but also it's like you want to see guys hitting the ball hard. If they were hitting nothing but ground balls to second base like Nick Madrigal does every freaking day that he's in the lineup, then I'd have a bigger problem. But it's not like we're seeing a lot of that from a lot of the big hitters, that the guys that have to do run producing and stuff like that. So like that one inning that I'm talking about where I believe it was, I think it was Happ and Tauchman. It was
Amaya, Tauchman, Happ.
Yeah, Amaya, Tauchman, and Happ. Like all three of them hit
in the third.
Hard hit balls, 90 miles per hour or harder. And they had really good expected batting averages and, just into gloves. And it's just like, man. It honestly sums up the frustration of the offense for me this entire month. I feel like they've had some games where they've been owned by pitching or whatever, but they've also had a lot of games like that too. Now, this game wasn't like that, in my opinion. It's just like, in some ways, like it felt like, man, like, can we catch a break?
Yeah, I think when the best way to kind of look at it. And we were to your questions, not your question, but your point of you don't know what else to tell people that don't believe and expect is that like I said earlier, at the end of the day, the results matter, and if you're not getting the results, that matters, and that hurts you. Right. But just with expected stats and average exit velo and stuff like that, that's just used as okay. The ball didn't fall, but the guy still saw the ball well. He still hit the ball well. It's more of a predictor for potential future outcomes on average, right? So if a guy's seeing the ball well and he's just going through a slump where the ball's finding gloves, but he's still hitting the ball well, and that's what the metrics are showing, then that's where you can look at it okay, he had a bad stretch, but you should have some hope that he's going to get out of it because these numbers are telling us that he is seeing and hitting the ball well. And that's what it's been for Morel, specifically, where he has a 153 BABIP in May, despite hitting the ball on average over 90 miles per hour. That kind of stuff is hard to believe that it's lasted this long, but it has. And for a guy like that, you just believe or have to believe or hope that that can't last much longer because the numbers should even out at some point.
Yeah.
Cubs lose to the Brewers. They lose 3 out of 4. The good news is they're coming home, and their next 9 games are against the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago White Sox. Okay. 10 games, 9 games, whatever it is, go win all but one of them. Those are games where you can now feast on some bad teams in Major League Baseball and change this narrative completely around. You'll feel a lot better if the Cubs play against the Reds and White Sox.
People won't take it seriously. Wins don't matter if they're against bad teams.
Seriously. Every game matters. You got to beat the bad teams, too, and start doing it starting tomorrow, 1:20 with the Friday 1:20 Club.
I hope so, man.
Who you got? Bush, right?
Who wins who you got? Well, I was the only one that made a pick. Braggs declared me the winner, right?
No, I took Amaya.
Oh.
Happ was over.
Bush had that deep fly out. Amaya did have a hit.
Bush had a walk and a deep fly out, but he did have the pass ball.
Corey took Slaughter.
Yeah, Amaya did have the pass ball. Yeah.
This was a nothing. Happ had some nice at-bats early in the season. Let's just call it a wash. Pretend it didn't happen.
Apparently,
the game didn't
Brendan
happen.
took Barb.
Can we pretend the game didn't exist?
Give it to Joey.
Just give it to Joey.
Give it to Joey.
I mean, Bush had a walk in a really nicely struck ball. Like, I think he had a decent day.
Yeah, his uniform was clean.
You can give it to me because the last time I was at a Cubs game for a Friday 120 Club, the Cubs were 19-14, 5 games over 500 on the season. And since then, they have tanked massively.
So it's your fault.
Well, I'm going to blame Cody, actually, because I've been blaming it on him all month. Now I return to the bleachers tomorrow to fix the goddamn Chicago Cubs.
Ricky says, don't underestimate the Reds and White Sox. Listen, those two teams stink, and you better win almost every one of those games.
Honestly, I think
they stink.
If the Cubs drop 2 games to the White Sox because their bullpen and their hitting can't decide who wants to screw it up more, that's going to be like
worse than the Brewers.
Yeah,
series.
that's going to,
because you'll just be like, how do we not beat that team?
Because the Sox right now are
They're
like
not
an
even
embarrassment in the city.
Yeah.
And if you lose 2 games to them at home and give them
not just them, the Reds, you need to feast on the Reds too. Anyways, Friday 120 Club, meet at Murphy's tomorrow. Get your ticket, hang out.
I'm just one game at a time.
One game at a time. There it is.
Just win tomorrow.
That's what we needed. One game at a time.
Just
give 110%.
Just win.
Just win,
whatever,
baby.
Man.
Right?
Whatever.
Just go pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat.
That's right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast. Again, Friday 120 Club tomorrow. Have a good weekend. It's ahead. Corey and Brendan will have a podcast wrapping up that series against the Reds for you coming up on Sunday. Until then, thanks for watching as always, and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.